Welcome. You have arrived at STEM City, USA, a safe and trusted community where you can find people and resources to help you become everything you are and beyond, accessible to all who reach for the stars.
On top of my head, and I can create my own virtual reality when I look through them. Hi, my name is Moria Bowman, a 16-year-old junior from Gainesville, Florida. Welcome to BEYA Stars and Stripes Career Day. Our theme today is Stepping into the Future. We are your Stars and Stripes Career Day ambassadors, and we are led by retired Army Lieutenant General Bruce Crawford. Thank you for joining the movement. You have joined a movement to give teens like you and me the opportunity to see firsthand some of the best careers in the world. BEYA Stars and Stripes Career Day was started by a group of retired admirals, generals, and members of the Senior Executive Service. This gives kids like us an opportunity to see these careers and be inspired. The national director is Vice Admiral Walt Davis, U.S. Navy retired. Now, on to you, Matthew.
Matthew, a 17-year-old junior from Springfield, Virginia. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce our mentor, Lieutenant General Bruce Crawford. General Crawford is a retired Army leader with 30 years of experience leading men and women into battle. He was most recently the Army Chief Information Officer for all the computer systems in the Army. Currently, he is a Senior Vice President at Jacobs Corporation, where he leads the effort to work with the Department of Defense. Let's welcome Lieutenant General Bruce Crawford.
Well, Matthew, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the warm introduction and welcome to everyone to what I'm sure is going to be an amazing experience. So there are really two points that I'd like to make up front in addition to welcoming you all. Number one, our purpose, our broader purpose. And our broader purpose is really about exposing you to information that really prepares you, gives you that foundation for a career in STEM, which is very, very strategically important globally, but also to the country. But the other point that I'd like to make, and more importantly, this experience and what you're about to experience today is really about an opportunity for you to understand and really feel the art of the possible. Hearing from ordinary people who have done some extraordinary things that literally have the potential to change the world. And so as you listen to the presentation today, you ought to have one big question in your mind. Why not me? Why couldn't this be me in the future, literally developing this kind of capability that has the potential to change the world? And so thank you all very much for being here today. Buckle up for what will be an amazing experience. And so at this time, I'd like to throw it back over to Celia, one of our great ambassadors. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, General Crawford. Good morning, everyone. I'm Celia, a 17-year-old BEYA Stars and Stripes student ambassador from Sarasota, Florida. Today, we have Mr. Earl Knight, a revolutionary technology leader in the social tech space, and he is going to talk with us today on what he does and how he got started. Mr. Earl Knight was the founder and CEO of an app called GoBabble that allows you to meet people in your area. He developed this technology before the age of 30. Now he helps other companies develop products, taking them from ideas to the market. Over to you, Mr. Knight.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Earl Knight. Thank you for that really warm introduction, Celia. I'm really excited about talking about tech with you guys. And the reason why is because I don't think enough of people in our space are in technology. And it really, it pains me to see it, because in the rooms that I'm in, I'd love to see more minorities and people of color. And that's, for me, is exactly, that's kind of my dream. That's my mission. So we're going to go on a really wild ride here. this is going to be more of a conversation than hopefully just a presentation. I don't want to be talking at you, but I will be talking at you. I'll make a lot of little silly jokes, and I hope you guys can bear with me. So, as we are, let's go ahead and start the presentation. Awesome. All right. So, who am I? All right. I am Earl Knight. I am a product manager, and so what a product manager is, okay, on a kind of like a daily basis. I basically deal with the engineering teams in how to build technology. Okay, so when let's say the CEO of a company or the VP of a company or the director of a company says, we want to do these things, I'm basically the person that tells an engineering team how to build that or what to build in that technology. Okay, so let's just stop there for a second. Let's actually talk about what technology am I actually talking about. All right. Well, you guys play video games every day, I'm sure, right? Like 2K, right? A Madden, let's say Roblox, or even World of Warcraft, right? That's just really just technology. It's a program, it's an application, right? And so you need somebody that's going to write the user stories for those applications. So basically, I'm the person who writes those user stories and tells the engineering team what to build and what to code so that you guys can start to play with it. All right, so let's move on to the next slide here. All right, so who am I? All right, so I'm a product manager with about 7 to 8 years of experience. Okay, I built some world-class technology that is still being used today. I've worked with companies such as Comcast, Carnival Cruise. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Tinder, but Tinder, EA Sports, the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Eagles, so on and so forth, right? Throughout that course of my life, I've built things on mobile apps, desktop websites, live streaming technology, and anything within the next gen space. Okay, and so the next gen space is, I guess you could say, anything that you guys would use in 5 to 10 years. Okay, I'm building for that. All right, so that's my sweet spot. My mission in life is to make sure that we create opportunities for young people to evolve society. And so, what does that really mean? All right, at least for me, I want to make sure that after today's talk, you guys say, I want to be a product manager so that I can build for the future, right? And not only that, but I want to, after I'm done building all this technology and I create a hub, you guys can come to that hub and say, um, let's build for tomorrow. And then you guys do that for the next generation of people, right? And so we just pass it down. All right, so what do I do on a daily basis? All right, let's just talk about that. All right, so basically, I understand the audience. What does that really mean? Understanding the audience is understanding my user base. So when I have a mobile app, let's say it's some social network that I'm building, that mobile app needs to be thought of through the eyes of those users. Let's say it's Facebook, right? I need to make sure I know, who am I building this technology for? All right. And so then I need to also understand the market and competitors, right? Who are my competitors in this space? I also need to build a strategy that ties to a business model. We have to make money. The most important thing about technology is understanding what your value in that market is and how much people are willing to pay for it. We also need to understand product design, All right, and how do we build that new product? From there, we would also build we build the product, right? And so we write the user stories, we write good acceptance criteria, right? And so I do that on a daily basis. From there, we build strategies to take the product to market. Basically, we launch the product, right? And then after that, we monitor any analytics for the product. The number one thing a product manager needs to know is how do they see success in the product that they launch. If I launch a new mobile app or a new game, I need to understand what are my success metrics. Okay, and success metrics can be anything, right? It can be gameplay. It can be um, uh, number of likes. It could be revenue. It could basically you have to tie a metric to the success of that product. All right, and so let's actually talk about how much do I make, right? Because it's super important. You guys, the number one thing that needs to be understood within a career path is how do I get to my X dollar amount? If you guys are envisioning your life for the future, you need to be thinking, well, how much does it cost for me to get to that life, right? If I want to own a mansion, or if I want to own a yacht, or if I want to own a really nice car, or if I want to have a beautiful girlfriend, or a beautiful husband, whatever the things that you're envisioning for your life in the future, you need to have an X dollar amount and how to get there. Me, I make $300,000 a year right now. How do I do that? I actually work with two different companies. Right now I work with Comcast, which is your internet provider. And I also work with Carnival Cruise, which, if you guys have ever been on a cruise, um, when you get on that cruise, that hub app, I own that hub app. So let's go on to the next slide. All right. So let's review some product design concepts. All right. So number one, when you are a product manager, you're a problem solver. You are the person who is, when somebody comes to you with a real problem, right? It doesn't matter who it is. You're the person who's thinking, okay, how do we actually solve that issue? All right. So the number one thing you have to do there is think, what are my goals? What are the goals of this organization? How do I and how do I solve them? Okay. The next thing is, who is the user, right? We talked about this before. Who is the user? Is the user a 65-year-old woman? Is the user, if it's a user of let's say, some kind of mobile game, is it a young boy who's maybe 20 years old, or not boy, is a young man who's 20 years old and he's in college, right? We need to think from that concept. Also, what are the user needs? What is the problem that the user has, right? If it's a young guy who's 20 years old, what problems does he have on a daily basis? All right. And then we also need to think about solutioning the problem, right? We need to come up with ideas around the problem that person has. And then we need to prioritize our solutions. We need to prioritize those user stories. Then after that, we need to think about user experience. What is the user's experience within our platform? If they're on a website, what do we want them to see? What do we want them to go through? And then from there, we also have to think about development and prioritizing development, right? Are the first things that we want to get out the gate for a user when we're thinking about their minimal viable product? Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. I know that we are at a time here, so we're going to move relatively fast to these next slides. Next slide there. Okay, so here we go. Hoop dreams and creating. All right, so here we go. You guys, I'll tell you right off the bat, I I don't want anybody to think that I was doing anything special, or I went to college and I had to learn all this tech and I got a CIS degree and I learned all these. I am a basketball player through and through. Let's move on to the next screen. So early on in my life, all right, I'm actually legally blind. I'm going to tell everybody that right now. So I have a very I guess my early childhood, I ran into poles. When I was on the basketball court, people would throw the ball at my head. It was absolutely awful, right? You see a little image there. That's me with playing basketball with some other guys. I played in college, and it was amazing. But my early childhood life, I was super empathetic, and I always thought about people. And so that's what made, like, kind of turned me into the person I am today, right? I played basketball all the time, like literally was just my life, right? And so if you guys ever have any kind of hoop dreams of going on to play in the NBA or going to play overseas, it's not all it's cracked up to be. And I'll tell you, the one thing that I always go back to is like, I wish I would have known, at least at my 12-year-old place in life, that basketball was not the only thing that the world had to offer me, right? Because then I would have done a little bit more with myself. So I always knew I wanted to make a really large impact, and just being an athlete didn't have to be that. So on to the next slide. All right, so let's talk about figuring it out. All right, so when I was young, I had a great dad. I had a great upbringing, but no one ever told me what I should do and what my career path should be. And I kind of had to figure it out on my own. Like, when my parents got divorced, and I must have been 12 or 13 at the time. Like, it was super hard for our family. Like, we grew up in, I didn't know when I was going to eat, right? I didn't know when my brother was going to eat, and I had to think about these things. So I kind of had to figure things out. And so that's what led me to being a really good product manager, because you have to problem solve. You have to figure out when you're going to eat next, right? And so you have to figure out what the problem, like, if that problem is a real problem, I had to identify it and then go and solve it. So let's move on to the next slide. So figuring things out. That's what an entrepreneur is. If you guys take anything from today, is that being a product manager is almost like being an entrepreneur. You have to have that entrepreneurial spirit, right? And so let's talk through some of those concepts. I want you guys to fail. Failing is okay, because with every failure comes a lesson learned. You don't really win from win. You don't really learn from winning as much. You learn from those failures, and failing means that you're putting in effort. The next thing is plan to go hard. What does plan to go hard mean? First, plan, and then you go hard. You go hard at that plan. You execute on that plan. But the number one thing is write something down on paper and then execute against it. Next thing is health is wealth. It is absolutely so important that you guys keep your bodies in shape. You guys are eating healthy. You guys are drinking water, because you can't write good user stories. You guys can't build great technology without having a really healthy body. All right. So the next thing is recruit great people. You need a team behind you, right? After that, you need to adapt and pivot. Every single plan is going to go awry. I don't want you to think that your plan is going to just go without any issues. You're going to have issues. Plan and adapt. Adapt and pivot. After that, you want to focus on the problem. Days are going to be hard. They're going to be tough. The only thing that's going to keep you up is the fact that you're focusing on fixing the problem. All right, let's move on to the next slide. I know I only have a few more minutes here. All right, so the technology that I built, I started off early. I built a mobile app, and it was called GoBabble. I ended up selling that off to a few government entities and investors. And this was some great technology. GoBabble is a location-based social media monitoring platform. And I built this when I was between the age of 25 and 30. Next is, I went from there and I moved on to another app called Tagged. Tagged is a social dating app. Basically, it's live streaming. You can hop into a live stream and you can start talking to people and dating them and so on and so forth. So it's really cool. When you get of age, you can go and check that out. Next, I worked on Comcast. Where I'm at right now is at Comcast Business. I work on their business team, building great technology for business leaders right now. And so we build on this website for Comcast. So anytime you guys go to Comcast or pay a bill, you guys are interacting with my technology. And next thing, we were going to cue a video. All right. So the next thing that we are going to talk about is the metaverse. That is big. Okay. Really, 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 really big. And basically what the metaverse is, it's imagine a VR world where you can exchange with other people ideas and creativity and really start to think about the future and put yourself into a whole new interactive world. Okay, and so I'm now building a new dating app within this metaverse world. It's the first of its kind. Okay, and so that's going to be the next bit of the future that you guys are going to see. Let's go ahead and cue the video.
Gaming in the metaverse is going to span from immersive experiences in fantasy worlds to bringing simple games into our everyday lives through holograms. Maybe you'll play old games in new ways.
So, Barcelona, huh?
Well, it's not New York, but I like it.
New York misses you.
What's that?
I said, let me put my game face on so I can beat you.
Okay. Check.
I gotta try another game face next time.
Maybe you'll go head to head with players from around the world.
It's like a shot.
Some call it skill.
Keep talking.
Or maybe you'll do things that aren't even possible in gaming today.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so let's go full screen me. All right, so, all right, you guys. So that was a great video in showing really what the metaverse can do and be in the future. Facebook is actually building, or Meta is building an incredible immersive technology that spans across VR, AR, which is augmented reality, and MR, which is mixed reality. Okay, and so mixed reality is the combination of having immersive tech and real life, and so it's super cool. What I'm building for the future is this brand new dating app, and so when you guys come of age, obviously, you'll be able to see a brand new kind of world where people are able to date each other and meet each other and connect with each other in this metaverse reality, right? So let's talk through these concepts. Imagine you're in New York, and you want to meet a nice young lady, right? And that young lady is in California. You guys could fly to each other and, let's say, fly to California or fly to New York. Or you could meet within the metaverse and you could maybe fly to Paris in the metaverse. And so that is what we're building, where you actually post a date and another user can see that date and they can connect right into that date, and then they can meet you in Paris at the Eiffel Tower. So it's super cool, super connective, and you guys can maybe have a coffee right at the Eiffel Tower. And so that's the kind of thing that we're building. I'm so excited to talk more about this. But from there, I really want to get to the place of, hey, you guys, I'm not anybody special. Actually, I was kind of counted out, right? And so Earl Knight at a young age was that guy who was, um, I was legally blind. I wasn't as smart as everybody else. I have ADD. I sat in the back of classes. Um, but I always had a love and a passion for building for people and inventing. And that's what kind of took me to my career path. And I really want to really harp down on this point of, you guys can do it too, right? You guys can absolutely be those people that are building for the future, right? It doesn't take you to be a genius. You don't have to be Elon Musk. You don't have to be Mark Zuckerberg. You can be an Earl Knight or a Matt Bowman, right? Or a general or a lieutenant, right? You can be Celia, or Mariah, right? And that's what I really want to for you guys to take out of this. All right, so I'm going to stop there. I know that we have some Q&A, and thanks for letting me speak.
It's okay.
Hello, Mr. Knight. So I'm Celia here again. I'm going to be running the Q&A for today. So the first question I have is, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's a great question, Celia. In 5 years, so right now I'm actually working for two corporations, right? Carnival Cruise and Comcast. Where you'll see me in 5 years is owning my own company, right? Probably either a startup or some kind of new tech, right? And we'll probably be at a place where we'll have anywhere between 5 million to 10 million users. I'll probably have a incubator space, right? Where people come into that incubator space and they are also building with us. So in about 5 years, I see myself, probably owning a company that's doing anywhere between I'd say $5 million to $10 million in revenue per year, and yeah, we're continually building for the future. Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, the second question is, what advice would you give your 12-year-old self?
12-year-old self. I would say, all right. So let me tell you guys a little story. 12-year-old Earl was a fighter. 12-year-old Earl, I literally, all I did was get into fights. I know it sounds crazy because it's like, why would I get into fights? I can't see anything to fight anybody. But I would tell myself to maybe stop fighting physically and start fighting mentally. I would also tell myself to maybe read more books. I would probably also tell myself to focus harder on the goal in mind. So yeah, 12-year-old Earl would probably be a guy who maybe focused more, listen, and also listened more, right? Like I didn't listen to anybody. I was just like, I felt like a bad kid at 12. And I really didn't listen. I was, my mom had such a tough time with me, but I think that stemmed from like my parents divorcing. So, um, you know, I would probably tell myself to listen and just be nicer and better to my parents.
For question number 3, I'm going to let Gabby say this one, another student ambassador.
Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm from Bethesda, Maryland, and I wanted to ask the rest of the questions. So, why did you decide to enter this profession?
Oh, that's a really great question. So I decided to enter this profession. I kind of like fell into it. I actually built a mobile app. The mobile app was actually called GoBabble, and uh, I after I built GoBabble, I was looking for, and we sold it. I was looking for professions. I was looking for careers. I was looking for a job, right? Because I had to pay bills, right? Like I was like, I had to, after we made all that money, I was like, okay, what do I do now with my life? Like, and I also wanted to be better at building. I didn't know everything. So what kind of pushed me into this career was my friend who was a recruiter at the time was like, hey, let's get you over some resumes that match with the things that you've done with GoBabble. And so I saw business analyst, I saw uh, entrepreneur in residence, or resident entrepreneur. I saw product analyst, and then I saw this role that he sent over to me, a resume, and it said product manager, and it was everything that I was doing on a daily basis, which was like, filling a backlog, understanding your audience and your users, problem solving, and I'm like, that looks like me. And so I basically filled out my resume looking like a product manager's resume, and then that's what kind of led me to that career.
Okay, great. Who are some of your mentors and the best advice? What is the best advice that you've gotten from them?
Um, some of my mentors and some of the best advice. I have some really, really great mentors. Um, I have a mentor. His name is, well, I have two main ones. One is Derek Garan. He's actually a surgeon at a hospital in Pennsylvania. He's just very logical. He's a super logical guy. I'm kind of wild and wild thought. I'm super creative, and I'm like, hey, I want to do this. I want to do this. He kind of reels me down. I have another mentor, a Spencer Sancerre. He's he's amazing. He's actually an orthodontist. I'm going to get that wrong, but he's an orthodontist, and he owns a few offices in New Jersey. This guy is amazing. He's also kind of a wild thought guy, and he just puts me on pace to think about where should I be at in the future. Um, but one of the best pieces of advice that I got, and I talk about this all the time, is actually from my uncle. He was actually on his deathbed. I know that sounds kind of morbid, but he was on his deathbed. He was like 80 years old. And I came in to see him and I said, Uncle, man, I miss you. I love you, all this, And, I was in college at the time. And he said, hey, how you doing? I said, man, college is so hard, man. It's so hard. Like I haven't graduated yet, man. I'm, so on and so forth. He said, he basically, on his last words, he said, it's not hard. You're just not trying hard enough. And that always stuck with me. We always think things are hard and they're difficult and there's always these issues around. But are they really hard, or are we just making them hard? Are we not trying hard enough? And that always kind of stuck with me, because when I think something is difficult or it's not easy, I always go back to that piece of advice of like, hey, maybe I'm not trying hard enough. So.
Okay. So here's another question. What was your favorite subject in high school and why?
My favorite subject in high school. I love social studies. And you know what? I actually think maybe history was my favorite in high school. And the only reason why it was history, because I love knowing where people were in the past and how it led us to the future. If you guys, if anybody gets into the product management career space, you're going to have to look at charts. You're going to have to understand metrics. And in order to understand where you want to be at in the future, you have to know where you were in the past. And so I think maybe history was my favorite in high school, and the reason why it led me to this career. So, yeah, great question.
Next question is what is it that inspires you?
This is a tough question because it's so many things inspire me. But I can nail it down, I think, to one piece. I think that legacy and having people that may not have an opportunity actually get an opportunity to be great is what inspires me. Like seeing people be great inspires me. Seeing people be who they should be, seeing them fulfill their potential inspires me. Also, I think, and this probably speaks to that, having my family be great inspires me, right? So like the reason why I'm building and the reason why the reason why I do the things I do and why I think about my finances and the reason why I think about building a house and the reason why I think about my soon to be wife and all of these things make me think about the future. And that kind of is inspiring because it puts a stake in the ground for us. And I don't think that people that are, who haven't had an opportunity think about those things. So yeah, that's kind of what inspires me.
Okay. Why should teens be inventors?
Okay, let's talk about why teens should be inventors, right? Teens are the most creative people. You guys at this age, you guys think everything is a problem, and then you guys think everything can be solved, right? Like this is when you're the most aspirational in your life. This is when you have like all of the gumption to go forward, right? Like this is when you have the most energy. When you're 16, 17, 15, 14, whatever the age, you're like, yeah, let's do it, right? Like you wake up with energy. Right now is the time to do it. Like I am kind of like a teenager myself. I'm 34, but I'm kind of like a teenager in my mind, and I wake up with energy. I'm always talking and bouncing and moving, right? But like when you're a teenager, you really have energy, right? Like I played basketball day and night, and it's because I had the energy to do it. When you're a teen, you have amazing energy and you have amazing creativity. And this is the time now to learn hard skills like learning CIS or learning computer coding and programming, right? So that you can build for brand new video games, like or maybe drone technology. I can't say enough about why teens should be inventors, but like this is your time. Like you shouldn't be. You can be any. You can be an inventor at any age, but being an inventor at in your teens is like that golden age, right? Because hey, listen, if you invent in your teens, by the time you turn 20, you could be a millionaire or billionaire, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. I think our other ambassadors have some questions, so I'm going to turn it over to them now.
Hi, this is Maria. What is exciting about the invention you created?
Yeah, okay. All right, so the most recent invention, this Metaverse dating app, what's really exciting is I think the ability for people to connect what seems like in real life, right? Like, so regardless of whether they connect in the metaverse or whether they connect in real life, the opportunity for them to connect is so vast, and especially in brand new areas, right? So if you know, want to date somebody in Bali or Mali or in South Africa, or if you want to date somebody in China, you can literally do it in this metaverse land, and it's totally okay, and you're safe, and you feel like you're in a structured area where that connection is genuine, and it's not just your texting and your messaging and you know, maybe you're live streaming. No, you're actually talking to that person, and you feel like you're immersed in who that person is. So that's what's really exciting about that brand new tech.
Hi, Mr. Knight. It's Matthew Trimble from Springfield, Virginia.
Hi,
Tell
Matt.
me a time that you failed and what you learned from it.
Yeah. Oh man. Uh, I mean, maybe I should talk about this morning. I don't know. No. A time that I failed and what I learned from it. Let's talk about GoBabble. When I built GoBabble, the first thing that I did with GoBabble was I turned it into a social app. And it was a social app, and it was amazing. I had this great idea about um, n- people connecting within their proximity, within like a 5 mile radius, right? So basically, the social app was like you had a big chat room for a 5 mile radius. So the people around you were your social network. And I pivoted within, let's say, 8 months of me having that mobile app. I pivoted to a SaaS platform for businesses, and basically we did a brand new thing, which was we allowed businesses to see social media at any location. The the failure there was I pivoted too fast. I didn't focus, right? I allowed for other people to come in and tell me what I should do with my mobile app instead of me being really focused on the problem at hand, right? And really focused on getting this mobile app out there to the world. I didn't do enough of that. And so, what I really found out from that failure, what I learned from that failure, was that sometimes you really just need to stick with it. And it's okay to go through some bumps and bruises. It's okay to not know everything early on. Get it out there to the public, figure things out, learn, and then you can make adjustments, but you don't have to move on to the next thing so quickly. Sometimes you need a little bit of time. So that's what I learned.
That was very helpful, but I have one more question. Many of us have heard about the metaverse. How will the metaverse impact us?
All right, so let's talk about. All right, so I want to go at this in the best way possible, because I know that we have young people who are listening. The metaverse is a tool to be used. Okay, it is the next version of the internet. It's called Web3, right? And I really, really implore everyone: do not get caught in this metaverse new reality. Okay, what will end up happening is you guys will be in Roblox or World of Warcraft or some new gaming system, and you'll put on these VR headsets, and you'll be in this immersive technology for, let's say, 45 minutes. You might even be in it for, let's say, an hour and a half. Then, maybe the day after that, you might be in there for 2 hours. Then maybe the day after that, you might be in there for 3 hours. The number one thing that I want you guys to come out of this is understand that that reality is not reality. It is the metaverse. It's a tool to be used. Don't let it use you. You guys will find yourselves in a place where you want to meet friends and you want to do this or you want to learn these new things, and people will put it in the metaverse as opposed to putting it on a brand new website or a mobile phone. Allow yourselves time to be within the real world, okay? Because the metaverse it's going to have an impact. It's absolutely going to have an impact, but you have to pull away from it, right? Give yourselves time to be within the real world, because people live in the real world. They don't live in the metaverse. So it's going to have a real big impact as far as what you guys do and how you guys sleep and how you guys eat, how you guys live your daily lives. Because you might go to a concert in the metaverse or in Decentraland or Sandbox or within Meta, right? You guys might, connect with people or be in a work conference or do all these brand new special things within the metaverse. And you might find yourselves in there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. Take those VR headsets off, because eventually you'll find yourselves where you don't know what is real and what is metaverse. And so that's going to be how it has an impact on your guys' lives. I 100% tell you that you're going to have to teach your kids to take those VR headsets off. So that's the answer to that question.
What is a day in the life like for an inventor?
A day in the life of an inventor. It is grueling. It keeps you up at night. You really only can sleep about 3 to 4 hours a night. You're constantly thinking about, how do I improve my invention or my product? You're constantly thinking about new solutions. You're constantly thinking about new inventions, new ideas. You're constantly talking about them. Listen, if you're going to be an inventor or a product manager or a CEO or one of these high level people who are building, what you're going to find is that you're not going to be like everybody else. You're probably going to be somebody who is like an Elon Musk or a Mark Zuckerberg or trying to think of somebody who or like a Robert Smith, right? Where you can't have regular conversations with everybody, right? It's going to be tough because you're talking about concepts that people might not be able to understand. And you're going to have to get these concepts out of your head. And so you really need to be able to write things down on a daily basis. You need to also organize yourself. And you also are going to need to give yourself time to be a real person, right? Like working out, drinking water, talking to friends, having a social life, making sure you make time for work, and making sure that you make time for yourself. And so that is going to be the life of an inventor. It's a grueling life. It's tough. It's going to be, you're probably going to be poor for the early part of being an inventor. So make sure that you are okay with eating ramen noodles and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and tuna.
That's what you did?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are good, so.
They are tasty. So what's next?
I'll ask the question. If I have an idea for a project, how can I make it a reality? Is it possible for teens to succeed?
Oh, I mean, the only way that you can succeed building a brand new piece of technology is by doing it with a team. You can't do it by yourself, right? I've tried to do it in the past, and I've always taken back the lesson of I needed somebody for this. I needed a person who can do this thing. I needed a person who can do marketing, or who can build the website, or who can write the copy for the mobile app, or somebody who can do the graphic design. You can't do everything by yourself. So you need a good team in order to build some brand new tech. Now, like if you have an idea, if you have an idea, the process of building that project and taking it to reality really starts out like this. You start to think about the problem first. Then you think about who are the users who have that problem. Then you think about what are the solutions to that problem. Then you start iterating on the solutions to that problem. You get out a piece of design or some kind of survey, or you get something where you can get feedback from those users, because you want to learn what they like about your product, the solution to that problem. And so once you get that thing out, then you get back all that feedback, and then you start building again. And it becomes an iterative process where all you're doing is taking feedback and building on top of the solution that you're building for, whether it's a mobile app or a website, or if it's a bike, or if it's a car, or whether it's a laptop or a mobile device, or whatever it is. You're going to take all that feedback, you're going to learn, and then you're going to build on top of those things. And so you're going to need a team to get that feedback and maybe build new designs. Maybe they're going to have to build the new bike, and you're going to have to keep a backlog of the backlog is really important, because no matter what you're doing, you're going to have items. And the items are just items of priority work. Though that priority work is like, number one, the most important thing that I need to get done in order for my users to be successful using my product. Just think about it like that. And so if you guys have any more questions about how do you be successful about bringing a product from idea to reality, you guys can always contact me. I am super available, but it really starts out like figure out what people want, and then build it for them, get it out to the world, and then start getting feedback from them. It's super simple.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knight, for being here and offering us advice. And I welcome back Celia to close out.
Thank you so much, Mr. Knight, for this really, really inspiring chat and presentation. And thank you, everyone, for participating in this BEYA Stars and Stripes Career Day. It has been such an honor to get to be inspired by so many industry leaders. You are also invited to participate in the BEYA Stars and Stripes Conference in Washington, D.C., February 17th to February 19th. You can visit historically Black colleges and universities, participate in the career fair with direct access to hiring recruiters, and learn about lots of technology training courses available through STEM City USA, the first Metaverse. 3D goggles are optional. In the meantime, we're currently recruiting new BEYA Stars and Stripes student ambassadors for the year of 2022. Thank you once again for joining us today, and have a great day.